Hi, this is Peter Propp, and welcome back to 10-Minute Strategy. I have to apologize for the lack of episodes for this series. I got caught on a pretty big corporate assignment in the late fall and early winter, and really couldn't get my act together to do these. But we're starting off again with a bang with my good friend Mark Matthias. He's a local technology expert based here in Westport, Connecticut, and we're going to talk about something called the Maker Faire. And Mark is one of the leaders of the Maker Faire movement here in Westport. Mark, why don't you tell us a little about yourself and a little bit what's going on at Maker Faire?
Sure. Peter, thanks for having me. Good to get you back on the air. Hey, just wanted to, my background is a senior technologist. I've been in technology for more than 30 years, typically as a CIO or a CTO. And one of my interests is this Maker Faire. I have attended a couple of them in the New York area. They've been just amazingly informative. My kids have always come back, just can't stop talking about them. And I looked into it, and we said, as I looked at the community, I said, maybe we should do one here. And so I asked around to a number of people, said if there was interest, and there is. And so we are having Connecticut's first official Maker Faire event on Saturday, April 28th. At the Westport Library in Jessup Green. It's called the Westport Mini Maker Faire.
Excellent. And what time does it start?
It'll be going from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's free, open to everyone. We are going to be having tickets available online. You do have to get tickets, but the tickets are free. And just if you want to, our website is westportmakerfaire.org, and that's fair is kind of the old English F-A-I-R-E. So westportmakerfaire.org.
Excellent. So when as an observer, as someone who's not going to be making anything at the Maker Faire, what am I going to see when I show up?
Well, Maker Fairs are really a celebration of innovation and creativity. We have a lot of people there that make things. We're going to have some robotics people there. We're going to have a rocket club there. We're going to have artists talking about how they've been creative with their artwork. And in fact, just this morning, I met with a gentleman who has a submarine that he made. It's a single-person submarine that he's going to bring, and he's going to let people take a look at and crawl inside of. But we're going to have performance art. We're going to have people that are doing improv and pantomiming and just all sorts of creative stuff all over the place.
Excellent. So it's April 28th at Westport Public Library starting at 10 a.m. Let's talk a little bit with the broader trend around Maker Faire, because you and I have talked many times about what's actually going on in business and how can our country become a little more productive and generate more jobs and more things to do. Is Maker Faire part of that overall trend, you think, or that
the
issue? Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. In fact, one of the themes of Makers is a phrase called "void your warranty." The idea is that we quite often will get things from a store. The classic example is an iPhone, where you buy it, you take it home, you take it out of the shrink wrap, and you use it. But if there's something you want to do with it that's not a downloadable app, you really can't do anything with it without opening it up and voiding the warranty. And makers are people that they want to take things apart. They want to add to it. They want to create something that perhaps the designer or the manufacturer didn't do or didn't have in the box. And so the idea is that makers are people that will take something that's already in existence and add to it or build on it. And that sort of creativity is really a unique aspect of makers.
Excellent. Well, you and I have talked recently about Apple TV and my fear of jailbreaking it, even though I've heard it's pretty easy. The whole idea of jailbreaking is something that I know it's quite a big trend, but it is frightening for those of us who aren't that technical.
And that's understandable. The beauty of Maker Fairs, like one of the things that we like about Maker Fairs is these tend to be people from the local community that are doing this. And when you show up and they're showing you what they're doing, you can ask them, well, how did you do that? And they'll tell you.
Right.
So part of it is removing the fear of that, because of course we as older people are quite often afraid of breaking something, whereas young kids, one of the reasons why they adopt technology is they're quite happy just to start using it without the fear of breaking it. They don't know that it can cause a problem, and even if it does, they maybe don't care.
That's true.
Where it's not, the nice thing about Maker Fairs is you can talk to people that are doing these things. And you say, I see that you built this robot. Well, how did you start? How did you get the arm to move? How did you find the parts and the pieces to do it? And they'll show you.
Right.
You can see it. So the idea is that a lot of the fear and a lot of the concern of the unknown can disappear because you're talking to people that have done it or are encouraging of it or can help you figure out a way to do it yourself.
Very cool. So, and then there's the sort of meta trend, right? The trend above the idea of Maker Faire that's about, can our country become more of a manufacturing company? Once again, we're living here in the state of Connecticut, which is famous for some of the most remarkable achievements in engineering and manufacturing ever. The Sikorsky helicopter, the Colt pistol, and the Briggs and Stratton engine, and many, many other innovations. We don't do nearly as much of that sort of physical engineering and manufacturing as we'd like. Is the idea that out of more and more Maker Fairs coming up where people see how to do stuff and make things that hopefully will turn into more of a manufacturing economy again?
Something like that. Whether the manufacturing of old that we think of as manufacturing is what we're going to be doing, or whether it perhaps be more high technology manufacturing.
Sure.
It's hard to say what that will look like, but I think the trend is that there are people that have interest in making things and building things. I mean, I think that's inherent in kind of the American culture.
Right.
We are a country built on creative people. Manufacturing was one of the outlets for our creativity, and that's coming back. But with a lot of the changes in technology, whether they be metallurgical or computer or even the art skills, what you can do at home. For example, what we're doing right now with this video call was simply unthinkable, 10 or 15 or 20 years ago.
Sure.
And yet things have changed, and you're finding that many more people are starting to embrace that. Their inherent curiosity and their inherent creativity are allowing them to come up with ideas that maybe not be the base manufacturing, like maybe making paper clips, but making things of a more sophisticated nature, medical instruments or computer devices or things like that. And so the short answer is, yeah, I think that we are going to see a resurgence of manufacturing, very different than what we had in the 1700s and 1800s. But I hope that we will see a lot more jobs and companies being more domestically based rather than being those consumers that get all of our products made overseas.
Right. When you think about Maker Faire in the greater context, I think about things like Etsy. I think about things like Jumpstart, right, as the funding arm for any sort of a project. Could be a movie, could be a startup, could be whatever. But I think it could be an easy way if something interesting came out of a Maker Faire and maybe then was sold in ones and twos on Etsy, and then someone wanted to manufacture more and needed some capital, they could get their money via Jumpstart, et cetera, et cetera. You start to see a path of, from conception to, early adoption, and then hopefully a platform to get some real, revenue growth and opportunity out of one of these things.
And to your point, like, for example, Etsy is a great example of trying to get local or small people that make stuff, right, and make it commercially viable for them. And just to give a shout out to Etsy, Etsy's actually helped us in terms of what we call our call for makers, to try and locate and identify, in particular, artistic or artisanal, if that's how you pronounce the word, makers that would be good people to have come to the Maker Faire.
Excellent.
So yeah, the whole, and again, something like Etsy really didn't even exist, 10 or so years ago. And so a lot of things are coming together that make not only the maker philosophy, but also the Maker Fairs possible and viable in today's day and age.
Hey, I'm going to close this with a request for an item, which is my wife has a love of having an attractive and interesting looking tape dispenser in our kitchen. And I've been looking on Etsy and places like that for something interesting, not too crazy, but something robust, but still attractive. A tape dispenser. How hard could that be?
Well, actually, what's interesting, I've seen one actually at the Museum of Modern Art that's a very cool one.
Uh-huh.
But one of the other things that's nice is that even with some of the new 3D printing, if you can design one in a CAD diagram, you can actually ship it to a company that will make you one item at a very reasonable cost.
It's amazing.
So come down to the Maker Faire. Let's see if we can find somebody that can make one for you.
Excellent. Well, I'll be there, Mark. Thank you so much for your time. This is Peter Propp from 10 Minute Strategy and Shore Communications. Thanks, y'all. See you soon. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Peter. Bye.
Bye-bye.